Hey Sam. Okay, so I made a couple of different videos for the different worksheets. So this is the video for worksheet number 1. This is going over your exponent rules. So this, the notes that you have in your packet of work are these notes. So this is just showing you all the different rules of exponents. So like when we're multiplying two terms, notice they both have a, meaning they both have the same base. When you're multiplying, you actually add the exponents. So here's an example. When we divide, again, they both have the same base. We actually subtract the exponents. When we take a power to a power, so I have a to the m, or for example, x squared, and I'm raising it to the third power. So power to a power, we multiply. When we have something inside of parentheses and the exponent is on the outside of that, then you distribute the exponent to the two things on the inside. So then this becomes a to the m, b to the m. Same thing if you were dividing. So if this is in parentheses, so the whole entire division problem, the whole entire fraction's in parentheses, that means we would distribute whatever this power is to the both things, everything on top and everything on the bottom. With exponents, we can never have a negative exponent. So in order to get rid of the negative exponent, we throw it to the bottom of a fraction. So if you notice, I just make it 1 over, and then it goes to the bottom of a fraction. So anytime you have a negative exponent, you're going to put it on the bottom of a fraction. Now, the only exception to that would be if you had 1 over a to the negative 2. So it's already on the bottom, so then that would then flip to the top. Like that, okay? All right, and then zero power rule, anything raised to the 0. 9, 100, negative 50, AB, it's raised to the 0. It doesn't matter. Anything raised to the 0 power is going to be 1, no matter what. All right, and then this is another one, just going over those same sort of rules, and then these are some examples so you can follow those. All right, so those two sets of notes are in your packet. All right, so we're looking at worksheet number 1. This was a quiz I used a few years ago, so don't mind the quiz. I've marked that out for you. So I'm going to go over 4 different problems. So what I want you to do is, this is your paper. I want you to write in and follow along as I'm doing the problems on this worksheet, and then you'll do the other problems. On the back, again, like I said, this was a quiz, so I had some like review stuff. Don't worry about these at all. You're just going down to question number 15. All right, also included in this, once you complete those numbers 1 to 15, I've also included the answer key. And the reason I did that is so that you can check all of your work. So this worksheet number 1, you are gonna turn into me for a completion grade, not for like correctness grade, but you have the answer key. So I want you to check your work afterwards. And if you don't understand something, then that's what you should be sending me in a Schoology message saying, hey, Miss Carolick, I don't understand this. Okay, all right, so this is question number 1. So this first box right here. So here is the question, all right. Okay, so we start off by, we want to first simplify any numbers we have. So I notice I have an 8 and a 2, all right, and remember this line means divide. So 8 divided by 2 is gonna give me 4. And it's just 4. It's not 4 over 2, it's not 4 over 1, or I'm sorry, 1 over 4, it's just 4, okay? All right, next I look at just the top. I notice that I have an x here and an x here. So when we're multiplying and they both have the same base, they both have x, then we add our exponents. So now we have x to the 5th. There's no other y up top, so y to the 9th. And on the bottom we have x to the 5th, y to the 5th. All right, now we're gonna simplify even further. All right, so there's nothing I can do. There's no other numbers, so 4 stays there. Now, when we're dividing, we subtract these. So 5 minus 5 gives me 0. So I have x to the 0, and we just said anything raised to the 0 power is 1. But I don't need to put a times 1 here because 4 times 1 is just 4. So basically, these eliminate. Okay, all right, and then we subtract 9 minus 5, and that gives me y to the 4th. So this is your answer. All right, okay, number 4. Okay, so number 4, notice that I have this in parentheses and all of it's being raised to the second power. So I have to distribute the second power to everything on the inside. All right, so this becomes 4 squared. Then we have x to the third, all that squared, and then y squared. Now, we said that power to a power, right? We talked about that from this sheet. So if I have a power to a power, then I'm going to multiply. So here, I'm going to take 3 times 2, and that gives me 6. So I have x to the 6. I'm going to go ahead and simplify 4 squared, which is 16, and then I bring down my y squared. Now we have all of this times 5y to the 6. So I'm going to multiply 16 times 5. That gives me 80. Here's an x. I have no other x over here at all, so I'm just going to bring down x to the 6. And then I have y to the second and y to the 6. So when we're multiplying, we add our exponents, so that becomes y to the 8th. So then this is your answer. All right, number 8. Okay, so again, we're raising just the top. Now, if the parentheses were over the entire thing, then everything's raised to the second power. But in this case, it's just the top. So I have 9 squared, and then I have x to the 0 raised to the second. So 9 squared is 81. Power to a power, we multiply, but that just becomes 0. So I don't have x anymore, so I'm just left with 81 on the top. I'm going to rewrite the bottom. All right, so now 81 divided by 9, that gives me 9. Now, I have no x or y on top, so there's nothing I can subtract. Or if you think about it, you really have x to the 0, y to the 0. And if I subtract those, it would be negative. So we don't do anything. We're just going to leave these exactly where they are. So this is 9 over x cubed y squared. Okay? So this is your correct answer. All right, and then number 10 is the other one we're going to go over. All right, so I'm going to simplify the top first, simplify the bottom, and then the last step is to worry about the dividing. All right, so we're going to do, everything is being raised to the third power. So we have 2 to the third, m to the third raised to the third, n to the fifth raised to the third. All right, so 2 to the third, that means 2 times 2, which is 4, times 2, which is 8. So that's going to equal 8. 3 times 3 gives me 9. 5 times 3 gives me 15. All right, so there's the top. Now I'm going to simplify the bottom. I'm just going to do it up here. Sorry, I should have put this up here for you. I apologize. All right, so then this, so we have, so we're going to distribute the squared to everything. So 2 squared gives me 4. 4, so we have m to the 4th raised to the 2nd. So power to a power, we multiply, so that's m to the 8th. And then n, 7 times 2 gives me 14. All right, so then we divide, so 8 divided by 4 gives me 2. When we're dividing, we subtract, so this leaves me with m. And then 15 minus 14 is 1, or just n. So that would be your answer. Okay, so let's look at something else. This is not a problem, but I just want to give an example really quick. So if you had, let's say you had a problem and we simplified it and it simplified down to this. I'm just going to kind of reverse what we just had there a little bit. Okay, so if we had this, and this is what we're simplifying. So 4 divided by 8, that's not 2, right? The bigger number would have to come first if it was 2. This is going to simplify. Think of this as just its own fraction. That simplifies to 1/2. All right, and then if I'm looking at my m's, if I subtract 4 minus 5 gives me a -1, right? So we have m to the -1. Well, we said we can't have negative exponents, so to get rid of the negative, we put it on the bottom. So anytime you subtract here and you get a negative, you put it on the bottom without the negative. So then if I do 3 minus 7, that's -4. So then I just put that on the bottom. Okay, so anytime you're subtracting and you get a negative, you put it on the bottom in order to get rid of the negative. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and complete the rest of these problems on this worksheet. Again, don't do the bottom. Once you finish, check your work with the answer key, and then you'll give it to Ms. Meadows to turn in just for a completion grade. All right, thanks, Sam.